everyone, it's Stephanie here with a video for My Favorite Things. In today's episode of MFTv, we are going to be creating a card where we're going to be doing some floral stamping, but we're going to do all of our stamping in black and gray inks, and then we're going to add a pop of color with the card base. Sometimes it's really pretty just to have some really muted colors in your stamping, and I really love the look of black and gray with a white background and a pop of pink. So that's what we're going to be doing for today's card. So I'm using the Bold Bloom stamp set to create the pattern on my card design, and I have my Misty out to do some double stamping just because I have some really solid flower stamps, and I like the option of being able to kind of double stamp the images if I don't like the first impression that I get with the stamping. So I have my Misty out, and I'm just going ahead and adding some ink to the stamp. This is the cement gray dye ink, and once I stamped it once there, I wanted to get a little bit more color onto that stamped image, so I stamped it a second time. And then I'm going to repeat the same process with another flower from the stamp set. So I kind of positioned this one a little bit lower to the right of that larger flower. And for this one here, I'm going to use Grout Gray ink. And this is a really light gray color ink. And I kind of want it to be a little bit darker than just the normal ink color. So what I like to do is just stamp this like 2 or 3 times. And that just really intensifies that pigment and really makes that gray color really come through. The thing I really love about this stamp set is that it's a layering stamp set. So you get some outlines as well as the inside solid areas of the stamped images. So I'm starting to do some of the leaf stamps, and with these are the outlines, so I'm using the black ink. And I did start to do this in the Misty, and then I realized it would be a lot faster and easier to do this just with an acrylic block rather than using the Misty tool. Because these are outlines and smaller stamps, I know I'm going to get a nice stamped impression on the first time, so I don't need to worry about having to double stamp my images. So I'm just going through now and doing all of the stamping of the outline images as well as the solids. And I'm kind of just mixing and matching the different shades of grays and the black ink that I'm using. So everything is completely stamped with the cement gray, the grout gray, and the black licorice dye ink. And I just kind of modified where I was stamping each of these colors just to kind of give it a nice assortment and make sure I didn't have a lot of the black or a lot of the darker gray in one area on the design. There is a really great assortment of images in this stamp set. It's why I really like this one, because it has a lot of leaf images as well as flower images, and they come in a bunch of different sizes and different shapes, and the leaves kind of go in different directions. So it really makes it easy to kind of use these to create a cluster pattern like I'm doing here with all of the images. So I'm just kind of going through now. I just have one of the little dotted stamps. This is meant to go on in the inside of one of the flowers, but I decided to stamp it on its own a few times with the cement gray ink just to fill in some of those open areas that I had left over once I finished all of the main stamping on the panel. And then once I was happy with the stamping and I had a pattern that I liked, I am going to add a little bit of detail to the bottom of this here. So I'm going to use one of the Stitch Scallop Basic Edges 2 dies. This is the straight die, and this is going to give me a scalloped edge with a little bit of a stitching detail just above that scalloped edge. So I'm going to just use some Post-it tape to add this to my panel so that I know that it's not going to shift while I'm running it through the die cut machine. And then I'm just going to cut that bottom area off. And what that's going to do is it's going to have all of the flower pattern kind of going off the bottom of the card. And that's kind of the look I was going for. I knew going into this that I was going to cut off the bottom. So I just made sure that I had a nice straight pattern of the flowers so that I didn't have to worry about having any white space at the bottom. And then once I have that done, we are going to adhere this to a razzleberry card base, so a really bright hot pink card base, just to have that really nice pop of color at the bottom of the card and then also on the inside. So to stamp the sentiment, I'm just using the Essential Sentiment stamp set. And I'm just using the Happy Birthday one. I decided just to keep this simple and make it a birthday card. So I'm just using some black licorice dye ink, and I'm stamping the sentiment on the bottom right corner area of that pink cardstock. And then I'm going to adhere the panel to the card. Keeping the sentiment relatively simple allows me to keep the focus of the card design on those beautiful gray and black flowers that we've stamped. And then to finish the card off, I'm just going to add a little bit of Nuvo drops to the center area of 3 of the largest flowers, just to give it a little bit of dimension. And then that is going to complete our very simple stamped floral images with just gray and black ink, and then that pop of pink at the bottom. I just really love the look of having gray and black stamping. It's something we don't think to do very often, but it just looks so beautiful when it's done. So thank you so much for watching. If you would like a chance to win a $20 gift card to the MFT online store, please leave a comment on this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will announce the winner in next week's episode of MFTv. Thanks as always for being here, and I will see you next time.